invasion.
The Khmer Rouge regime, which ruled Cambodia from 1975 to 1979, committed some of the most horrific crimes in modern history, culminating in the deaths of nearly 2 million people. This genocidal regime, led by Pol Pot, sought to transform Cambodia into an agrarian utopia through extreme measures, including forced labor, mass executions, and the destruction of societal structures. Their ideology, policies, and methods of terror led to one of the darkest chapters in human history, where an entire nation was plunged into unimaginable suffering. The crimes of the Khmer Rouge remain a stark reminder of the potential for ideological extremism to destroy entire societies. Background: Rise of the Khmer Rouge. Before understanding the crimes of the Khmer Rouge, it is crucial to explore how they came to power. Cambodia, a small Southeast Asian country, gained independence from France in 1953. The post-colonial years were marked by political instability and struggles between various factions. During the 1960s, King Norodom Sihanouk maintained a precarious balance of power by playing off both the right-wing and left-wing groups in the country, including the growing communist movement led by Pol Pot. The Khmer Rouge's rise to power occurred amidst the backdrop of the Vietnam War. In 1970, General Lon Nol staged a coup against Sihanouk, aligning Cambodia with the United States and South Vietnam. This led to the Cambodian Civil War, in which the Khmer Rouge, backed by North Vietnam and China, fought against Lon Nol's government. By 1975, after years of intense warfare, the Khmer Rouge captured Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia, and declared victory. When the Khmer Rouge took over, they promised to establish a pure, egalitarian communist state, but the policies they implemented to achieve this were brutal. Their radical vision involved the complete restructuring of Cambodian society. Intellectuals, city dwellers, and anyone associated with the previous regime were immediately targeted. The Khmer Rouge's policies, justified by their revolutionary ideals, soon gave way to atrocities of an unprecedented scale. Ideological foundation of Khmer Rouge atrocities. The Khmer Rouge's crimes were rooted in their radical Marxist-Leninist ideology, which Pol Pot and other leaders interpreted in an extreme and distorted way. Pol Pot, heavily influenced by Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution in China, believed that Cambodia could only achieve true socialism by returning to its agrarian roots. The cities were viewed as corrupt and tainted by Western influence, and the urban population was seen as enemies of the revolution. The Khmer Rouge envisioned a classless society based entirely on rural collectivism, where private property, money, religion, education, and individual rights were abolished. They sought to eliminate all social hierarchies and purify the population by transforming them into peasant laborers. To achieve this, they adopted a doctrine of extreme self-reliance, rejecting any foreign aid or influence, even at the cost of millions of lives. The regime's ideology was driven by paranoia. Pol Pot and his inner circle believed that enemies of the revolution were everywhere, within the cities, among the educated class, and even within the ranks of the Khmer Rouge itself. This paranoia fueled a policy of systematic purges, mass arrests, and executions, as the regime sought to eliminate all real or perceived threats to their power. Forced evacuation and labor camps. One of the Khmer Rouge's first and most devastating acts was the forced evacuation of all urban areas. On April 17, 1975, when the Khmer Rouge entered Phnom Penh, they immediately ordered the evacuation of the city's 2 million residents. The regime claimed that this was a temporary measure to protect the population from American bombing, but it soon became clear that the evacuation was part of a broader plan to dismantle urban life and turn Cambodia into a rural, agrarian society. The forced evacuation was carried out with brutal efficiency. Armed soldiers marched residents out of the cities with no warning, giving them little time to collect their belongings. Thousands of people, including the sick, elderly, and young children, were forced to walk for days without food, water, or medical care. Those who resisted or were too weak to keep up were executed on the spot. The evacuees were sent to the countryside, where they were assigned to labor camps known as cooperatives. Here, they were expected to work from sunrise to sunset in the fields, growing rice and other crops. Conditions in the camps were horrific. The Khmer Rouge imposed strict discipline, and workers were given minimal food, often just a few spoonfuls of rice per day. Malnutrition, disease, and exhaustion were rampant, leading to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. These labor camps were essentially death camps in disguise. The regime's policies of forced labor, inadequate food, and brutal punishment for even the slightest infractions created a system where survival was almost impossible. Many died from overwork, starvation, or disease, while others were executed for being perceived as enemies of the state. The purge of intellectuals and enemies of the revolution. The Khmer Rouge's paranoia and obsession with purity led to the systematic targeting of intellectuals, professionals, and anyone associated with the previous government or foreign powers. The regime viewed educated people as potential threats to their agrarian vision and believed that they were too influenced by Western ideas to be loyal to the revolution. Doctors, teachers, engineers, lawyers, and even monks were among the first to be arrested and executed. The regime's definition of an intellectual was broad and arbitrary. Wearing glasses, knowing a foreign language, or simply being literate could be enough to warrant execution. The Khmer Rouge sought to create a society free of intellectualism, where knowledge and education were seen as dangerous to the collective ideals of the regime. S-21, or Tul Slang, a former high school in Phnom Penh, became the regime's most notorious prison and torture center. At least 17,000 people were detained at S-21, accused of being spies or traitors. Prisoners were subjected to horrific torture, forced to confess to crimes they did not commit, and then executed. Very few survived their time at S-21, and those who did were often killed later as part of the regime's endless cycle of purges.